They play Spell Quellers, and the more important card in my hand is this Pummeler. So I'm probably going to just play the Pummeler this turn. I'm also going to attack with the Servant because I believe it's free damage. I would trade it for a Selfless Spirit if you wanted. I'm fine with that. They do generally play only 2 cast outs or 2 stasis snares, so it's a reasonable chance that the Punisher doesn't die here. Or sorry, the Pummeler doesn't die here. And there's a number of draws that will just let us win the game if he doesn't have it. So the thing that gives it 4 right now would make it 5, 10, 20, would make it still 40 damage. So just see if we draw anything like that. We did not draw anything that gives it trample, unfortunately. So it's not a particularly good threat this turn. But next turn, it'll be insane. So next turn, it by itself is lethal. I believe. 3 becomes 6, 6 becomes 12, 12 becomes 24. So let that come in play. He's going to target this thing, and now I need to draw a pump spell. Ugh. So any pump spell will do it now. Because we have about 1,000,000 energy. That's not a pump spell. So I'm just going to attack him with the Voltaic Brawler, I believe. Because right now this just becomes 2, 4, 8. So yeah, I'll attack with the Brawler. I'm willing to trade it for any creature he has. He plays a bunch of Dusks anyway, so just holding the Brawler back. It doesn't block, it doesn't do anything, so just get him lower and lower life. At some point we might just be able to fling for the win without a pump spell. We're not far away from that point now. Turns into 2, turns into 4, turns into 8. So like 3 more energies, probably enough. Any pump spell still wins. That again isn't a pump spell. And I don't want to give this trample now, but I'm still willing to trade this for anything he has because of the Dusks. Will not give you trample anymore. And there's some percentage chance he just takes it. But I'm willing to trade it for anything, even if it just kills the Cloud Blazer. Like, that's less damage I take. That's 1 less creature on the board. Him having 1 less creature, obviously good for me. Because of the Westville Abbey. So any pump spell still wins. He's currently at 16. Even a pump spell for 3 wins, it does 18. 3 turns to 6, well, it does more than 18, but. So I have a bunch of pump spells in the deck. Glorybringer's a reasonable draw. Obviously just want the pump spell. Well, that again isn't a pump spell. So things are spiraling fairly out of control here because we've bricked on just a number of turns. So he's going to draw a bunch of stuff here. Hopefully he doesn't draw an answer to the Pummeler. I'm on a pretty short clock now, though. So he didn't cast anything else. He probably drew the Space Snare. Or the Spell Queller. It's okay. Our 22 land deck. I just lost I was just doing some modern testing, and I literally lost every game because I just could not play spells, so this is just a bit frustrating. I don't think I have any out now. He would have to not have a Queller, not have a Spell Snare. Sorry. Yeah, Stasis Snare. I keep saying Spell Snare. Play a card for 100 years, you start forgetting about other cards. So I don't want him to see the Fling, unless we think it's going to win. He cycled. Could have Metallic Rebuke too. We'll draw our 8th land. And what happens? So I'm dead on board if he attacks with them all. That's dead. Just didn't play spells. Didn't draw really spells. Does nothing. I think this deck's set up pretty good to beat his deck. His deck's typically not the version that runs Archangels, so I'm not really that worried about spot removal. And we're just gonna play these Mango Horns and hope we can beat his ground force. This hand's okay, but it's not very good. I don't think I can mulligan it though. It's got turn 2 play. I can hit a few more lands. It's got a few ramp spell or a few pump spells, so like I can deal some reasonable amount of damage early in the game, and then maybe just gimp him. I have to see. Obviously, want to draw more lands with a hand like this. That's fine. We're probably going to play a 2-drop next turn anyway. That's not necessarily bad. He didn't play anything on 2. So hopefully he's not running Blessed Alliance or something of that nature. He is, he just gets me, but that's okay. Still Bristling Hydra in the deck. So an untapped land wins if he just plays Monument. So an untapped land wins. He missed his land drop this game. Go ahead and let him block. Deal 6 damage to him. And I don't really want to show him the fling, but whoops. Click that wrong. Choose target creature or player to deal the damage to. And sack this guy. And, well, he's Mana Screwed, so the fling steals this game. Well, by steals this game, I mean he missed a second land drop and didn't really put up much of a fight. I'm just going to resubmit it. I like this 75. I don't think there's anything I want to change based on the player to draw. If he's playing the mono white, I might bring in the Glory Bringers because there's a few less flyers in that build. But this one's got the Cloud Blazers and stuff, so this hand isn't particularly good, but I believe it is a keep because I have the things that deal with monuments. That's the big reason I'm going to keep this particular hand. Excuse me. That was a good draw. Now I'm going to lead with the Effer Hub here because I could draw an Effer Hub again next turn, which gives me some type of attack. Want to play this guy. So obviously just kind of hope he plays a monument here since we don't really have anything else. He may counterspell this if he has a Queller. Yeah, I thought he might counterspell that if he had a Queller. So again, because he plays Dusk to Dawn and stuff like that, I don't really care to trade this for anything he has. I'll still even pump it up. Like, I'll just do whatever chip damage I can do, but try to force him into doing something. Doesn't have to have a Dusk, for example. Well, the Selfless Spirit was very, very good. I think it's less good if he's attacking me. It's kind of interesting. Well, if that's his play, I'm just going to attack with both. Well, pump this guy up again. I mean, I have a whole lot going on, so it's not like I have a lot of options. And we'll go ahead and play this turn. The second one in the hand's redundant. I still have Blossoming Defense up. He can't do anything but Essence Scatter counterspell wise, which is a net win for me. And if he untaps and plays Dusk to Dawn, I still have a pretty large attack with the Rampager. So the Selfless Spirit's going to really get in the way here, unless he kind of hope he attacks with a Spell Queller. It's kind of an interesting attack. So a Fling will probably steal this game. Probably don't lose this game if I draw Fling. Well, we drew Fling. So now we have to decide whether we're going to throw in the Blossoming Defense or how we're going to do it. We're probably going to throw in the Blossoming Defense because this thing attacking by itself is 2. This thing pumping this is 4 because it'll do the first 2, then the second 2. So yeah, I think this match is pretty favorable. He can put 4 in front of it. Oh, he's just not willing to play around anything, I guess. Hold on here. So I paid a green here. Use that for the second red. Okay. So that's 7. Click this thing, give target creature +4/+0. And that's 13 without even the Fling. Because he didn't block. But we had another 11. I think he was playing to try to flip that too hard. But the Fling was a great draw. I'm not sure. After we drew the Fling, I think we were in pretty good shape. He would have had to have some very interesting blocks. Don't think he had any out once we drew the Fling, but I don't want to try to think about auto blocks. I would have thought about auto blocks probably if he'd left them up. But we've got to add +6 to anything we want, and then Fling to +6. So as low life as he was, even if he like quad blocked, it probably wouldn't have been enough because we'd have just improvised the other. If you put 2 on one and 2 on the other, I'm not exactly sure. Or 3 on one and 2 on one, I'm not exactly sure. I've not done that math. But whatever. Irrelevance. Let's go ahead and join match. playing versus Insomni 1K or Q. Insomnia Q. IQ. Thank you. Oh god, my beard's touching my mic again. Sorry about that. Gotta be 110% honest here. I have not read the Hours spoiler, so I do not know if any Hours cards would go in this deck. I do know that I think Hours of Devastation, the red card, is going to be extremely good versus this deck. So we have a second Pummeler here, which means not having the blossoming defense isn't as bad. We have our better 2-drop. So all we gotta do is draw a few spells over the next couple turns, and I think we're in pretty reasonable shape. Obviously, don't want to draw any more lands. We have every land we'll need this game. Just want to draw like blossoming defenses and stuff, but you know, the first draw step, obviously a land. It's a 22 land deck, so there'll be, you know, just 17 left in the deck, but I feel like I just draw a lot of lands in these spots. Oh, at least he can't Magma Jet. And if I've got a Flood, that's one of the better cards to Flood with. I think most of those decks should have cut Magma Jet out for a Braid now, but might be reasonable for him to still have some copies. Not exactly sure. So he's going to target this thing. I guess we just let it die. I guess storing energy this way, but energy isn't a big part of the plan. Now we have our own Harness Lightning. Might be worth it to hold up to try to get a Bristling Hydra. Which is what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to give it one turn to hold up to see if he plays a Bristling Hydra. This Bristling Hydra is obviously amazing here. Also just willing to kill anything he plays. Could have Blossoming Defense. Not worried if he has Blossoming Defense. It was a minor mistake. I should have played the Forest last turn to conserve a little info, but I don't think it matters a great deal to conserve that info. I think it's still a minor mistake, but like, I don't know how big of a mistake it is. Alright, so if he's playing the same deck I am, there's only 2 of these in the deck, so that was a pretty good draw. And hopefully he won't have another Blossoming Defense. Alright, so he didn't have another Blossoming Defense. So we kind of need to fade Pummeler now. Pummeler and a bunch of pump spells would kill us, and pretty high chance that he would have a bunch of pump spells, considering he's also not playing lands. Yeah, was afraid of that. I have a pretty reasonable block though if he can't kill us. I'd say there's a high chance he kills us, especially if he draws a land. But I won't say that there's 100% chance that he kills us. Alright, well, that was absolutely fantastic in this spot. Probably can't kill me now. So any spell that gives trample or a fling will probably win for me. Go ahead and cycle this, leaving up. So we have 2 draws to try to find something that tramples. And we definitely missed. Interesting. So I guess I'm just going to attack with the Glorybringer. Go after the Pummeler. Hope he doesn't have the Blossoming Defense. He didn't have it last turn, so a good chance that he doesn't have it this turn. Well, he had it. It's obviously wonderful for him. But it does take one pump of the Pummeler away. So it puts us even on how far we can pump our Pummelers. I imagine that there is absolutely no way that I survive this turn, but we'll find out. Just drawing 7 lands and him getting 4 more spells than us is just too good. I can't act first here because it gives him just way too much information. Oh, another Pummeler, so need our own other Pummeler? Nope, we draw another land. So we draw 5 more lands than our opponent, and the game's just over. Which is a little unfortunate. The Harness Lightnings are probably pretty good in this match. The Manglehorns may be good in this match. Bristling Hydra probably doesn't do a lot. It's just going to lower our curve and try to get more combo-y. Still puts us at 18 creatures. Now we're on to play. I'm going to keep the Hydras on the play. Keep 2 Hydras and 1 Mangle. I don't know. I feel like we were in pretty good shape that game. He had double removal spell, double defense. He had 5 more spells than we had. Makes it pretty hard to compete, to be honest. But you know, hey, we're 1 trample spell away from winning on multiple turns. I'm sure he was wanting a land, so it's kind of reasonable to say that we were both missing out a little bit there. So I'll play first. This hand's pretty good. Got a way to give trample, we got a way to get a little energy. We got a turn 2 Servant, turn 3 Pummeler. The best 2 draws in the deck are probably Land Blossoming Defense. Probably Land Blossoming Defense. Well, I didn't really mean that land. But you take what you can get. So we won't be able to play a Hydra on the following turn. I still think it's just worth it to play this guy. Kinda has to answer this guy, or this guy can potentially win on any given turn. So like if he just has nothing, this guy can go crazy. Killing the first one's not super bad for me either. I'd like to draw probably an untapped land, maybe a Blossoming Defense. Alright, well, that's a good creature. Untapped land would be what I want the most. So does Blossoming Defense do anything? Probably not. So if the Blossoming defense, this guy becomes 5, 7, 14, which just isn't enough. Or I can get a slightly larger blocker and increase my energy by 2. I go down to 3, back to 6, which gives me a double pump for the following turn. Or I could just play this guy to get the double pump for the following turn as well, while leaving up Blossoming defense for this turn. Or I could even play the Pummeler here and get just a random chump blocker and go up energy. I'm going to choose the Pummeler, I believe. Well, yep, it gives me 3 energy, which is the most energy I can get while still holding up Blossoming defense. And I believe it's a redundant copy of the card. I don't mind just to throw it in front of like the Long Tusk Cub, for example. But the other Pummeler currently attacks for 4, 7, 14, 28 next turn, so he kind of needs his own Pummeler or something to try to survive it. Wide open. So there's just a lot of things he could currently have. Well, if he's given a trample, I won't even block. Alright, so he's given it trample. Hopefully he doesn't have enough to finish me off. Alright, so he's going to give it double strike and I'm dead. Well, I guess I'm not dead. Alright. Well then. He's probably dead? So, stop here. Go ahead and put larger than life on this guy. Gives him 5. If I play the other guy, I go down to 6, back up to 8, so it doesn't change anything. And if he's got like a natural state or something, the game's just over. But we didn't really have any other options in that spot. On the draw, I'm going to get rid of the Bristling Hydras and bring back into Manglehorns, so hopefully I can turn 2 or turn 3 kill Pummelers. Pummeler's obviously just the best card possible in this match. Protecting them and trying to win with them is fairly key. They don't win a whole lot of the games through attrition in the mirror, but I won't say it's unreasonable or even impossible. Alright, so this hand has spells and mana. And I think it's just above the keep line. And I'm only keeping it because the Sheltered Thicket cycles. Well, he mulliganed to 6 and kept on top, so it's very likely his hand's just stronger than ours. The Pummeler was just stone clutch. And show him the Thicket. The second defense was pretty good here too. Really want to draw like an Effer Hub or one other way to get a second trigger off of this electrostatic. Because as of right now, I'm going to need a second trigger to win. Well, he had his spell, so. And now he gets his second trigger, so he's considerably ahead in those regards. So we need to not be dead here to have a chance. But he gets 2 pumps of his Pummeler to my 1 pump. I don't even have a good block. The fact that he's attacking with both of them's pretty scary. I'll go ahead and block. See what happens. May just be dead on turn 4. So it turns it into 20. I can get not enough to survive, I don't think. Haven't did the math. So it's doing 22 to me. I can do 3, 6, block, 14. So technically alive if he has nothing. I don't know how I'll win this game from here, but I'm technically alive if he has nothing. If my math's remotely right. Yeah. Well, that's not what we wanted. Harness Lightning may be enough. Depending on how the rest of this turn goes and things. So we'll have to see. Trying to decide whether it's valuable enough to kill the Long Tusk Cub. I don't think it is yet. If he just has a Glory Bringer or something, the game is actually over. Lafnium Helium. So the game's still not over. I can deal 3 to this and block, and then he would have. So the game is over now, I believe. My opponent played quite a few interesting choices, but could make some kind of play mistake here. Who knows? And I don't have enough, so. I was going to die to this either way. Even if I'd killed this before the energy come, he would have had 3 energy and that did 2. Yep. So there was no out there. Opponent just drew well into play. We got incredibly unlucky game 1, I think. I don't like some of his sideboard choices. I don't think the Hellion does much in that match. It's not a card I would want in that match. The Uncaged Fury's kind of cool, though. I did like that. So the first match I've lost with this deck now. Small sample size, just 7 as a mirror. Play first. Hand is very good. So we keep. Got a lot of things to spend a green with here. So we'll get a second green when we get the Pummeler out. That's every card I've showed him. Blue and green. Interesting. Try to beat him down with these little guys. Play around Sensor. Playing around Sensor also lets us be able to have the Blossoming Defense for the following turn. I mean, I think it's pretty reasonable that the Cubs can just win on their own, so I'm not going to worry about the Electrostatic Pummeler in this game state. He's going to have to show me something to make me worry about the Pummeler. As of right now, All we know about him is he's playing a blue-green deck. So don't actually know what he's on. She always makes sideboarding weird. Since I don't know what he's on whatsoever, probably just going to run back this configuration. Like, this configuration can beat decks that it's bad versus. If he's on Teamer Energy, this is probably a poor sideboard plan. I should probably remove all the pump spells and bring in the bigger package. But if he's on Teamer Emerge, if he's on the Adrian Sullivan list, all of those things, I think this is perfectly fine versus. I think this hand's on the weak side of a keep, but I do believe it's a keep. Yeah, so he's probably on the Fog ramp deck even, maybe? I'm just going to play the Sheltered Thicket. We're going to need this land at some point this game anyway. It gives me more options of what to play next turn if I go ahead and try to play the Servant this turn. So like if he doesn't have a Censor or anything, we'll probably just try to get Bristly out. He's probably on the ramp deck. Spring, so yeah, he's on the ramp deck. So that's fine. The ramp deck's probably a reasonably strong deck. So if we'd known he's on this deck, we would probably have taken out the 2 Harness Lightnings. Interesting to see what opponent's playing. Go ahead and see if this resolves. If it does, we go get a mountain, play this mountain, attack him for 4. Go ahead and give it the +1. He could very well just be on the fog list. Probably is on the fog list with what he's showing us. It's just fine if he's on the fog list. It's probably going to be my worst match. So he's tapping 4 mana, and we're going to look at something here. Commit. Well, didn't really want to draw that again, but it's whatever. So what's he got for 5 mana? Metallurgic Summonings, so... so we can attack for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, which is not lethal, unfortunately. So that being said, it's probably not worth it. Probably just going to play the Cub. Throw a Blossoming Defense or 2 on this guy and attack him for whatever I can. This might be the last turn this game that I can do this Blossoming Defense stuff. So we could have did an additional 4. So I guess I've done bad math and he's dead? Yeah, I did bad math. Interesting. I did very, very bad math. Rip. So what do we got going on now? part to water veil, sure. He's got double part to water veil. I'm in pretty rough shape, but I misplayed. So it wasn't the deck. It'll be my fault if I lose. Our promise when he has double desert. So he's got all the block in the world. I'm sure he's probably going to attack with some. He didn't attack with any. Well. Attack with everything. Will not pump. And we'll see if he blocks in a manner that lets us win. Okay. Okay. See if he blocks in a manner that lets us win. He has to have his spell in hand has to be kind of bad as well. So as of right now, if I put 4 on this, and then they both resolve, he would be dead. If I put 2 on this, and 2 on this, and then pump this up some. He gives me the best chance versus... Nah. So if I put 2 on that, 2 on that, they would break off each other. I would deal only 3 damage. So I have to put the full 4 on this. And I played poorly. So he's got an unsummon or something. I'm dead. If he doesn't, I have a chance. So let's see what he has. That's 4 trample. Yeah. So, despite of my horrible play and my terrible math, we got there. Not actually sure how I counted that math that badly. I thought he was going to be at 1 life. Well, that's whatever. I'm also not that worried about it. It's a very loose play. I'm actually kind of a little annoyed at myself for playing that badly. As usual, play first. Hand is pretty decent. We'll go ahead and keep it. Could be better, but maybe the Long Tusk Coves will go insane. Yeah, so opponent mulliganed, cap, and put on bottom. Yeah, well, he showed us a forest. He played a tune, so his hand's a lot better than mine, which is always a little sad. The Larger Than Life was actually a pretty good draw. Excuse me. But basically, I just need to draw Runner land at this point. Because I assume he's going to have a removal spell for the first cub. So I really just want Runner land. Especially an untapped land this turn to save for the Blossoming defense. Well, alright, so we flood several games tonight, and then we're going to be shy on a few games as well. It happens. It's very disappointing, but it happens. Game's not by any means over. Like, not in good shape anymore, but... So we're going to do probably 6 damage here and be able to pump up our guy a little. Which is nice. Opponent goes to 14. Next turn, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's still just not enough to kill him, but might give him some kind of awkward block now. He may not have a 4-drop. He plays Bristling Hydra. That's just kind of bad for me. Excuse me. Plays Ronus. That's fine for me. Don't care about Ronus at all. And he's not willing to block, so... So with that being said, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to do what damage I can do. I'll probably be able to win with the fling next turn. Target creature gets +4/+0 until end of turn. So that's 7. That would put him down to 7. And then next turn... So... This is 7. He would be going down to 7 currently. So even with the Blossoming defense, I can only put him at 6 next turn. So I need to use my mana as economically as possible this turn. Because I could draw another Blossoming defense next turn, it could be enough. Or draw another Effort Hub to get the 5th. Loses the Glorybringer, loses the Chandra, loses the removal spell, but quite frankly, I wasn't beating any of those spells anyway. And he has the he has the Glorybringer. That's fine. I guess if he attacked with it all and I had a Blossoming defense, I could have won in that manner, but I don't think he would have attacked with it all. So I have no chance to win now. But I did draw the spell that I would have needed to win had he not had it. So that's kind of a little disappointing. Him having Ronuses is really bad for me. Anyway, I don't think I can get people post board that well. So I typically have been bringing in this kind of like conversion board package where I take out all of these pump spells. But in the cases that I've been doing this conversion, I've also been bringing in Manglehorns, and I don't think Manglehorns are typically good in this match. So I'm going to be bringing some of these cards back in for this particular match. This black-green, I probably wouldn't bring them in. I'm going to go with 2 thingies and 1 thingy. And just... We'll just see. I think Teamer's probably this deck's worst match. But I've gone with a little bit bigger plan here. Hopefully we'll be able to get some chip damage in early and be able to like finish them off with something. So waiting for opponent. If we'd had to land that last game, I think we'd have been in great shape for most of that game. This hand's... It's a keep, but it's like not even remotely good because they're going to have probably 8 spot removals for this guy. The 2 Blossoming defenses when I don't have extra land are almost like mulligans. If I draw a green source on turn 1, I probably won't play these things. So that being said, I'm going to lead with a mountain this turn, which is probably wrong. Could have led with the Effort Hub and like played for a game trail, but So if I hit the green source, I'm not going to play the spell anyway, so if I hit the game trail, it wouldn't have changed anything. I guess it would have changed that I wouldn't have been able to cast Harness Lightning, so it's pretty bad of me. Okay. Oh, another green source. We will take Brawler. We have Chandra for the following turn. So if we play something as simple as Rogue Refiner, we'll be able to go ahead and save the guy. Give him off a little bit of energy. The guy's not particularly valuable, but also a lot of our cards aren't particularly valuable in this match. So I have to play the land. Unfortunately, this lets him resolve Hydra, but I don't think I can play around the Hydra. Maybe playing around the Hydra, not playing around the Hydra's wrong, but he doesn't even have to have the spell, so go ahead and play our tune. We have our double red spell in place, so we're going to go ahead and get the forest. Then we're going to tick up. See what we get. Lone Tusk Cub, which is going to get played. So we're in pretty decent shape this game since we have drawn the double Harness Lightning. It's a good chance that this Chandra actually gets the ultimate. Well, I'm going to block. I'm going to put my guy up twice to try to save him. I assume he has some kind of effect that he's going to mess with our cub by doing this, which is fine. Because even if he has the effect, we have the Harness Lightning to get rid of his thing as well, and he probably uses his whole turn to do that. Well, you just let our cub kill it. Have to have something post combat. It's his own Chandra. So I assume. I don't know what he's going to do here. He's going to do some damage to our Chandra, maybe? Just go ahead and prevent that. Go ahead and use this guy. Get a mountain this time. Play the mountain. Tick up the Chandra. Do I want to cast that? No. Do I want to kill his Chandra? Sure. Do I want to go ahead and make this a 5/5? Sure. Because anything short of a Skyboat and I get the ultimate next turn. The only other haste threat dies to the Harness Lightning. Even if he somehow could get the Glured. He's got his own Chandra, which is fine. He's going to deal damage to my Chandra. Oh no. He's got something better in plan. He can't kill the Lone Tusk Cub, and now I can ultimate the Chandra, so I don't understand this. And then he just didn't use the mana. Well, opponent's dead. Go ahead and get an emblem. Play this thing, deal damage to him. No, there's no reason to attack Deshandra. Go ahead and kill this guy, deal damage to him. No, we don't want to target Deshandra. We want to do 0 damage to our guy. And then we want to attack. So, I don't think our opponent had any outs there anyway, because we had 2 energy left over and we could have banked 6 energy. So that would have been a 6 plus 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 from the Chandra ultimate if we chose. So, I guess he would have been at 2, but it would have been pretty rough for him. I liked how we sideboarded. The 3 cards that are questionable, we never did draw. Everything else did what we wanted it to do. Sounds pretty reasonable. We'll go ahead and keep. He's on the play, so he has a much better draw this game with a Tune. Tune's the best card in the deck. Well, we drew a game trail, so that was reasonably good. We'll get a mountain with this guy. And we'll see what's going on. We don't have any removal spells or anything, though, so he has a removal spell and we don't. That's very bad. If he plays a servant here, that's pretty bad. So we have both of these threats, and the one that has the better attack is this guy, so that's what we're going to play. Just in case he has a Chandra or something. Where I have the extra boss or the extra 2-drop in hand now, I'm not that worried if he has a removal spell for the first one. He plays 4 mana, he plays a Bristling Hydra, his draw was obviously great. So you can go to 5 on that guy. So I guess now we have to do this awkward race thing, because I don't really block that well, but he doesn't really block that well either. Go ahead and play this here, this here. A pretty big attack next turn, depending on what he plays. A fling is a way to steal this game. Probably steal this game kind of easy with a fling. We left 1 fling in the deck, so we have that draw. He's going to try to cut this guy. I obviously have to try to save it with a defense, which makes my next attack smaller. Might make him use a second removal spell, which is fun. Sure, so I'm going to take about 1 million here, if he chooses to. He goes down to 2 cards. So we like to draw our own Hydra, but so he probably needs to kill that guy. I still don't have very good blocks, so especially when he could just have Glorybringer at any time. Glorybringers likely would seal him the game. I'm not sure I would have an out to a Glorybringer. So we have to see what's going on here. Oh, his deck still has Magma Sprays. That's not something I would have expected. It's also not something that's completely awful for me. Alright, so next turn he can attack for 5, 6, 7, 8 if he has like Ronas. He can attack for 9 if he has Glorybringer. But he also could have just brought Glorybringer this turn. I can't really stop him from beating me if he has Glorybringer. Like, none of my draws really beat Glorybringer, so... I have to hope he doesn't have another removal spell. So if I attack with both of these, I die to Glorybringer. I die to Efferhub Chandra. I die to Big Chandra. If I leave the Voltaic Brawler back to block, I still die to Glorybringer. I don't die to Efferhub Chandra in that spot, but I also don't get to attack on the following turn, so I basically feel like I have to go ahead and put him at 4 here, which gives me the most alive draws for my following turn. So yeah. It's going to come down to the wire. Obviously going to deal the extra damage here. We're going to see what happens. The improvised Rampager gives us a lot of things. If he draws Glorybringer, the game's just over. Well, he didn't draw Glorybringer. So I'm curious what he's going to kill me with then. Just have his own removal spell. Alright, so he's got a cub. The cub can get to a 4. And I'm attacking for 8, so that's game, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm attacking for 8. Alright. Well, we beat what's very likely our worst match. Go ahead and pay. This guy plus 4 plus 0 and just save the time. And opponent doesn't bother to block, so we at least have gained a pity chest. And we're playing for the 4-1. 8-1 with this deck right now. The only loss has been to a mirror match. This deck was actually pretty good. It's not my build. It's BS White's build from a 5-0 league like 3 days ago, maybe. It's actually overperformed. I was mostly playing it to try to beat up on the blue-white decks and the mono-white decks, but I haven't really been getting paired versus a lot of those. But I've still just been beating up on the black-green decks pretty easily. I have not got paired versus a blue Gearhulk deck. I imagine when I do, I'm not going to be happy. I imagine that's going to go very, very poorly. But anyway, so we're versus Flame Guts, and he's 1-0. And this hand is a pretty quick mulligan. Not a whole lot to think about. He mulliganed as well, though, so that's kind of reasonable. And this hand is a very fast keep. He kept as well. He puts on top of library. I put on bottom of library. So he gets a small advantage in that regard. We'll have to see what the matches is. Alright. Could be one of the new ramp decks. They look pretty good, to be honest. We'll go ahead and grab a mountain, I believe. No, I'm going to grab the forest. Ugh. I'm going to just slam the servant. Which There's some argument to go ahead and play versus the Lone Tusk Cub because when they lead on Cinder Glades like that, I always assume they're playing the ramp deck, but I think getting the Bristling Hydra on the table is more important than dealing damage with the Cub on one turn. And he may not be the ramp deck. If he is the ramp deck, though, this is very likely a mistake because I assume they're going to be playing Hours of Devastation. Well, definitely going to be trying to kill that card. So we'll start with red on this guy, and then that to play the Harness Lightning. Anyway, so make a little chit chat with the opponent. Seems like a nice guy already. I've seen his name before. Oh, Lord. Our opponent's going deep. Padim Council of Innovation. I am a fan already. Opponent could do literal nothing the rest of the game, and I would be a fan just because of that play. So I'm gonna go ahead and play the Bristling Hydra here instead of the Pummeler because I don't really have any way to pump anyway. I don't have any way to give it trample. And I think it's a better follow-up to some kind of sweeper. Which, if he's playing Padim and these things, there's a good chance he's not on a sweeper. I'll be making this 4 of his turn. Keep 2 activations up for the Bristling Hydra. I'm not going to go all in, though. Go ahead and press F6 and see what's happening on the following turn. There can't be Hours of Devastation, and we don't have 9 non-land permanents in play, so it's not that card. He's down to 3 cards in hand. So we have just a lot of potential here, depending on what he plays. We also have just a lot of power on the board. So he's going to Lava X that guy. Well, I don't care about that at all. Ooh, God Gift Pharaoh. I am a fan. Turn target artifact card. Refurbish God Gift Pharaoh. That is pretty sweet. beginning of combat on your turn. So he gets a 4/4 this turn and a 4/4 next turn when I attack. So he just gets... Ooh. It's a reanimated deck without black. I am pretty happy. So he gets a 4/4 haster this turn that has all of these abilities. So he gets a cool Padeem back right now. I am stoked about that. Refurbish is a fun Magic card. Oh, he didn't take the refurbish. That's surprising to me. Very surprising. Or he didn't take the Padeem. That's very surprising to me. I believe that gives us things hexproof, and we're in a format that what am I trying to say? That a braid is extremely popular in. So it's kind of just a little shocking to me. I don't know how many times I can say shocking in some kind of different manner. But it's a little shocking to me. Anyway, so we're attacking for a large sum of life this turn. He can double chump block if he wishes. If he only blocks one, I'll probably pump the other one, at least to 1 point of damage. I may not pump it any with the Pummeler here, though. All depends on what he blocks. Alright, well, if he's doing it like that, I'm going to go ahead and make this guy 5. Because that'll still give me 2 Pummeler pumps for the following turn. I might have just missed lethal. No. I had 7, so I would have been able to put 3. I'd have been able to put him at 2. So now he gets the Padeem, and he has a card in hand. We don't have any artifact destruction in our deck, so like, we really can't mess with what he's doing at all. He doesn't have any more artifacts in his graveyard, though. Or any more creatures in his graveyard. He only gets 1 a turn, so... With a very high chance that anything that provides trample will win this following turn. So if I attack, every threat I have is technically lethal, and he just has to block them all. And 2 of his blockers aren't particularly good. So I'm attacking with 3 lethal threats. He obviously has 3 blockers, but see what happens here. Well, I'm going to go ahead and Blossoming Defense this guy and pump this guy up 1 time. I don't think the Blossoming Defense is something I'm going to need when I have the 3 lethal threats. Though the Electrostatic Pummeler will not be lethal next turn. Ugh. So he's playing one of my favorite cards. I'm a really big fan of that God Pharaoh there. He's not always going to have Padeem, so I believe I want to bring in the Manglehorns in this match. I don't think the Glorybringer is going to be that relevant, and I kind of don't think the Harness Lightnings are going to be that relevant either. That being said, I'm kind of afraid to take the Harness Brings out, or the Harness Lightnings out. The Bristling Hydras themselves may not be strong enough, especially on the draw. Yeah, let's try it this way. I brought in 3 creatures, so let's take some free creatures out. So what do we got here looking here? We have the Ode 1 land, And we have our 3 drops. We have everything we want except for lands, but we're going to mulligan. And we don't have anything we want in this hand, but I believe it's still a keep. Because any one threat puts us in a pretty reasonable spot. Especially if that one threat just happens to be, you know, Pummeler Daddy. His deck seemed marginally slow too. I think I'll have time to find something. On hindsight, this hand was probably a mulligan. I've had such mana problems lately that I don't think I'm making very reasonable mulligan decisions anymore. When I see lands, I just instantly want to keep. I found myself the other night keeping like 6 land 1 spells and a cycle land draw and stuff, and that can't be right. But I've ran really bad with land draws lately. It's not really mattered whether I've played 19 land decks or 26 land decks. He's talking about the Fraying Sanity Millstone decks. I think they're going to be just a smidge annoying. Anyway, so we've still not hit anything here. I'll go ahead and play the mountain to show it to him. We're just going to have to hit some kind of creature at some point. We have a high creature count in the deck still. We sideboarded 4 out and brought 3 in, so we didn't really lower our odds of hitting creatures very much. Even a Madcap Experiment into Noxious Gearhulk. Well, that's pretty overpowered. But we have Manglehorns that we sideboarded in. We'll go ahead and play the Effer Hub. And then we're going to go ahead and jam this guy. No. In 3 more lands, the Manglehorn might be enough to win. So he did his little combo thing. And we had the first answer for it, but it doesn't mean we'll have enough answers for it. So let's go to Chandler Initiate, which doesn't do a lot in this spot. Probably want to draw another creature or a Blossoming Defense from here. Not sure which. Depends on whether he shows us a removal or just like another... Alright, well, they can't block this turn, so... I could attack him for 10 this turn, but attacking him for 10 doesn't seem like enough. I will attack him for 2, though. 2 more turns if he's not played a removal. We get to go big. Which may be enough not to go home, who knows. Problem is, next turn he can untap and play, or he can play like his 7 mana drop right now, which means he gets to get back his Noxious Gearhulk, which means I'm in terrible, terrible shape. But I'm not just dead. He doesn't have another creature in his graveyard yet. So any creature I draw right now is a very good draw. Like if I draw any creature on this turn, I'm again just not in terrible shape. Well, we didn't draw a creature. We still might have another turn to draw one. We can probably draw another Manglehorn and get a God's Gift. Like we're not dead yet. We have at least one more turn, but I'm assuming that with this turn, it just doesn't matter a whole lot either because these 2 will be able to attack too. So they'll be able to attack for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 next turn. And then just whatever this is will be wonderful. Second God Pharaoh. Okay, well, I have to have a creature of his turn. We get a creature of his turn. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're not dead on the table. Can't actually even block if I need to. So if he doesn't draw anything, he's going to get hit for basically a literal 1,000. If he's doing all this, I'm going to assume that he found some kind of removal spell or something similar. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can't really block. I just have to hope I have enough to win. So Blossoming Defense is a card I obviously want to draw. And I didn't draw it. And this is a 20-point attack. So we get the attack for 1,000,000 here, and even if he has a removal spell now, we can pump this up twice. So can technically do like 30 million damage right now. Yeah. I did. I didn't have the fling. I drew the fling for the turn. So when I was talking about winning for a removal spell, I didn't have the fling in my hand. My fling was my draw step, so. Like, I was lethal with the Larger Than Life and then the Rampager for anything he had other than a removal spell, and then when I drew the fling, I could, if I played a Rampage Life, go for the 20 or whatever, and if he had the kill, he kills me. Anyway, so we got a 4-1. Nobody's really watching tonight, but I don't blame them for not watching tonight. Like, there's just people brewing with hours of devastation cards and stuff like that. I'm preparing for a modern PPTQ and paper, so I've not really been focused on standard at all. I've not tried any of the new hours cards. I'm just trying to learn modern. I have less than 1 week, and I don't really want to be working on new standard decks while I'm trying to learn modern. But this is a pretty fun deck. We went 9-1 with it, only losing to a mirror. For the only person that showed up to talk is Bogart. I'm kind of sorry you showed up right at the end. I have to log out now. I just wanted to get something to post on YouTube. Anybody who cares about the videos can go to my YouTube or my Twitter. I'm not even sure. There may be a YouTube link down below. But there may not be, so I'll just go ahead and type that just in case. But every time I go live, I post on Twitter. I post every one of these events on YouTube. And at some point, not this week, but probably starting the week or the following week, I'll be posting some content to YouTube that's off stream. That's fair. Like I said, I'm mentally checked out. I've literally played Modern all night. I've just been jamming match after match with Death Shadow the entire night, and my mind is absolute mush. I am not playing very well at all. I am not thinking very well. Death Shadow's too hard for me to play, to be absolutely honest. But thanks for showing, and if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. I don't think I have enough viewers to even bother with hosting anybody. Yeah, I'm not going to host anybody. If I was going to host anybody, I'd host Sandballs, so just go run off and watch Sandballs if you like. Thanks for showing up, though.